Yeah. Okay. Well, first of all, welcome, Phil. Thank you so much for joining us. We want to cover a ton, but before I always like to throw out a question to kind of get to know like the early
Mhm.
beginnings and kind of how you started on your entrepreneurial journey. So, what was like maybe the first instance where you thought, I want to build something and I want to potentially do the entrepreneurship thing? What was the first indicator for you?
Well, it was quite early. I was maybe 15 or 14 years old, and my mother was building an HTML website, and I
Okay.
pretty much just saw what she was doing. I said, "Oh, it's ugly, mom." She's like, "Hey, can you do better?" And that was like the initial spark, right? And I start to code in HTML. That was like way back 25 years ago,
Yeah.
and quickly got traffic. Built like a free game website, got traffic,
Okay.
experiment with ads, and learned that I could actually make money online quite early. And that like was for me was a big spark and never left me.
Again.
So you were in high school or CJAP?
High school, yeah.
Yeah. And so did you start spending a lot of time on the website and you sort of ignore the studies?
Yeah, I think what's funny is like people don't remember that, but 25 years ago, tech wasn't like
Yeah.
popular. I mean, I'm 41, and I was like a sport guy. My friend was sport guys, and like being a geek wasn't like how it is nowadays. Everybody
Yeah.
wants to be a geek, like since like Mark
Mm.
Zuckerberg and Facebook, and at that point it was kind of something I wasn't like actually having any conversation with any person about my online life. Like I was building website alone
Yeah.
by night, and with my friends they had no idea. Just the point at one point I said, "Hey, I made like $2,000 this month." And I was like, "What? What are you talking about?" And then from there it slowly ramped up, and I learned to code by myself. I have a lot of stories about that, but yeah, I pretty much learned by myself.
I was gonna say, like, what did you use, like, to kind of like teach yourself? Because I find it's different now. Obviously,
Yeah.
there's so many more resources if you want to learn how to program and code. But like, what was it for you? Was it just trial and error, or did you
Well, a couple of
like
challenges.
meet
First, I
people?
might speak French, and
Yeah.
I wasn't reading English at that point, and there was not a lot of resources
Yeah.
online to learn to code. And so the struggle at first was just to actually find the resources, like where can I actually learn to do those
Mhm.
complex things that, and I was able to do basic website, and you would look at like a Yahoo and what all those things. How can they actually do that? And like it was like a black box. And like I think one day I found a book about Flash game development,
Yeah.
and like simple algorithm about like gravity, and like that was a click for me. It's like, oh, it's actually not that hard. It's basic math. And then from there, like how to link to a database, all of those things that are so easy to learn nowadays. You just ask ChatGPT, right?
Yeah.
But back in the days, no, it wasn't like that.
Founders Journey is a TechTO podcast which is produced by Startwell on King Street West in downtown Toronto. With multiple meeting rooms and large event spaces under one roof, Startwell can host your SKOs, large all-hands sessions, offsites, executive retreats, conferences, and other types of meetings and events.
So when you were building this, let's call side hustle, what we
Yeah.
call side hustle today, we didn't call that 25 years ago side hustle. What were the big takeaways that have impacted how you've built businesses since?
The one big takeaway was because as soon as my like game portable in French got traction, like I literally, if you Google game in French, jeu,
Yeah.
I was the first hit in France.
Wow.
So I had like 40,000 visitors a day.
Wow.
Right. And initially it was just static HTML. It was easy
Yeah.
to ship and scale, right? But then I wanted to have more complexity around. I want to have interaction, chat, forums, and I could not do that myself. So I started hiring people, like students,
Yeah.
and they were not good. So they like they literally shipped the first version. Like the website went dark for like 2 weeks, and then pretty much lost all like Google downrank us and whatnot. And at that point, I was probably 21. So that's when I realized if I want to actually have success in tech, I need to learn the craft myself. And like for probably 5 years, I just pretty much just like learn by myself, not having a lot of success, trying a lot of different businesses without much traction, but at least I learned the craft. And nowadays with Missive, we're going to come back to that later, but I know pretty much all of the stack, even though I don't do
Interesting.
anything. Like all of the tech challenge, I'm still in the game. I can still have a discussion. I can challenge. I don't understand how people that don't have that visibility on all of this can actually do it.
Yeah.
For me, it's crazy.
So you're like the person that believes if I want to own a restaurant, I have to be able to replace a chef.
Well, yeah, for a day too. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you don't want to do it, but you have to. So same thing
Yeah,
here.
you need to know the basic.
It's funny because some of the founders we talk to are like, they don't have the technical background at all. And they're sort of like, that's why they hire like the technical co-founder or something. But you kind of are on the flip side, like, you know, almost too much. And it would probably be hard for you to be like hands off with it, I'd imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, I still want to code. I still want to do things. And I'm so I my guess it would be that those that don't have those tech skills, they have other advantage, right? They have human advantage, I'd say, in the way they're, I don't know, relationship advantage, how they are able to convince people to join their mission and whatnot, which for me was harder, right? So I really had to find my 2 co-founders. And then with those 2 guys, everything was possible.
Interesting.
And then,
So let's fill a bit of that gap in. So
Yeah.
you're 21.
Yeah.
So I guess at this point you're past CEGEP. I don't know if you went to uni.
Yeah. I think at university, Google AdSense was released.
Okay.
And I started to make like, I don't know, 4 or 5K a month USD, which was
not bad.
Yeah. Not bad.
Not bad. And I was studying business management.
Yeah.
And again, it wasn't like something like, it wasn't sexy for me. I wasn't like screaming that I had that game portal. For me, it was a bit like, I want to do tech, like not a game portal, right? It was like that side thing that would allow me to do something else. I tried many things. And from university, after business management degree, which I really did not enjoy and knew I wouldn't want to work in that, I didn't want to be an accountant or like work in marketing and whatnot. So I think at that point I founded like a game festival in Quebec City.
Okay.
It was called the Bivouac Urbain. Basically it was like we convinced the city to give us money to organize in downtown, close the big streets, raise big tops, and then have 200 students create games in 48 hours.
Wow.
That's so cool.
And inviting like DJs.
Like a hackathon, yeah.
Exactly. That was like 2008.
So cool.
And again, that goes back to the fact that I wanted to have a game studio, but I didn't know anybody doing games. So that for me, like, it was a way to meet those game developers. So and I was still like playing with technology, learning by myself at that point. But that game festival grew and became so big that I was pretty much just organizing it and not really doing anything like related to tech apart from organizing a game festival. So that's when I said to my co-founder of that festival, I will organize it just once more time, but I won't like do any of the stuff I used to do. I just like I'll be a contestant. I'll actually code a game in 48 hours. Like that's the only thing I want to do. Right?
So you'll do it only if you can participate.
Yeah. And I did that with my 2 co-founders. So those are the guys I met. And
so you met them at the...
No, I met them at... Okay, I also founded a co-working space. And I met that co-working space. You see, I did a lot of things to actually meet my tribe.
Okay.
Like, I go back to like, it was unsexy for me to talk about those things when I was younger. So I did not have a tribe. I did not have a tech tribe,
I get it.
Right?
Yep.
And those like festival or co-working space were all things I did to actually meet those people.
Hold on, I want to understand this a bit more, and you can jump here, Reilly, if you have questions. Most people want to go find a tribe. And again, back then it would be Meetup, or because Meetup I think was started in 2005 or something like that, or they would try to do it, but you start doing activities to find your tribe. So like, I love to understand your thinking, and because like something, I'm gonna start a co-working space. It's not, you need capital. There's a lot of stuff. Like, what drove you, and how did you decide what to try and what to experiment with? I don't know if you remember. But.
Good question. I mean, the game festival, I just found it was like, so remember I had a game portal.
Yeah.
So
it was a natural extension.
And at some point we went from like free website on free games online, then to Flash games, and that created the indie game movement, right? Before the App Store. And my game festival was just as the App Store
took off.
And so indie developers were making money and there was like a lot of quick, big success. And I would invite those as judge from all around the world to Quebec City to judge the competition. And for me, I was like, it's so exciting. So I had that game portal that I'm not so proud, and I want to transition to something I'm gonna be like really into, right? Like, and those like really fun iPhone games, I really want to be part of that thing, right? And I wasn't like a game developer myself, so it's kind of, I tried to do all the things around, and the co-working space was basically, I just wanted to have a place to work, and the lease was just too expensive for me, so it's like let's have more than one people.
So let's take more risk, but so at least it pays for
Yeah, it's
space.
the worst idea, because like co-working space is the worst possible business line. It's the worst. Like, I tell everybody, never start a co-working space.
There's no skill. It's atoms. Right? It's not digital.
It's just money to lose. There's nothing to gain.
But so what, you found your tribe and you found your co-founders. So how did you identify these were the people I want to work with? What was
it's funny. It was, I saw those two guys, and after 10 minutes I knew that I should attach myself to them. They were 6 years younger. They were 21 at that time, and they casually showed up at a developer event we were hosting, and they start talking about they just won a prize, a competition from a Lista part in San Francisco.
Okay.
And they just developed like a responsive poker game, but that was like 2010. So like
that was
first responsive app, right? And their app was like literally amazing. I was like, okay, those guys, they're like war machine. Right? And I told them, like, you guys gonna fly to SF to get your prize, and you're never gonna come back. I mean, you're gonna have an offer from Facebook and whatnot, right? But I told them, like, if you ever come back, you leave your job and you go work in our co-working space. And me and my co-founder Greg were like, we're gonna find you contract anyway. Don't work for like a edges. Like, come work here. Like, money's not a problem. I mean, you're so skilled.
Yeah.
And then they were in a co-working space, and then from there, I convinced them to join me on some project. And then, but I knew it like instantly when they showed me what they've created. I was like, okay, those guys, they're special.
So is their skill set from a technical perspective? Is there anything from mindset or values perspective that you identified?
The craft. They were craftsmen. Yeah, they care about the craft, and it was evident. Like, it was like clear, crystal clear. You don't see that often.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so from there, like, now that again you've like found this like really great group of people, and you're obviously like continuing to build and like iterate on ideas, like, what did you keep I guess like structuring together? And maybe we'll get into more of like kind of the next like entrepreneurial like building things you've done. But where did it go from you've met, you're like-minded, you clearly want to work with them, so like what did you build together from there?
Yeah. Okay. So at that point, so game festival, co-working space, met those guys. I was coding. Like, so at that point, I was trying to create a name badge tool, right? Because with my game festival, every year I had to print name badges just before. And it was like the worst possible thing to do the day before your event. Like, you literally need to go create a document in Excel, like try to design and then print them, cut them, and then insert them. And like, when we have hundreds of participants, like, it sucks. You don't have time for that. It's the day before your event. I'm gonna create a tool and offer it to other people so they don't have to do it. So like Vistaprint, but for name badges, right? And so I ad coded the JavaScript editor. But like, my skill in making things beautiful are not that good, right? But those two, like, they were amazing. Like, at that. So I told them, like, I've built like the JavaScript editor, the backend in Rails. Now we just need to make it beautiful. So I give you half of the company, I keep half, and we go from here. And we were lucky in two things here, because we attach ourselves to Eventbrite. And actually the I don't know his position, but he was like head of partnership. At one point, he emailed us just because we were connecting to their API. And he was like, are you doing what I think you're doing? Because like, our API key was attached to a name like conference batch editor.
Okay.
It's like, yeah, we're doing conference batch editor. It's like, it's the most requested feature we have, and we're never going to do it.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
So he said,
so they proactively reached out to you based on the title of What the entity that was calling the
Yeah.
API?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
And it's like, show me. And I showed him it. He saw we were legit, and he said, "Oh, like I will absolutely help you." Like, and the day we launched, we literally had a link in the back office of all event organizer in Eventbrite to a badge editor that was embedded in an iframe in
Wow.
Eventbrite back office.
Wow.
And the second thing is that when we launched, I pinged Jason Fried from Basecamp just because I'm a fan, and I was just, hey, look at our own page, and he retweeted it like, this is the single best home page I've ever seen in my life. Yeah.
So the craft did show.
Yeah. So that was not on me, right?
Yeah.
And then we applied to YC. PG replied to me in like 5 minutes because I attached a Stripe graph. It's like, it wasn't like big. It was like maybe from 0 to 2,000 a month. It was like, oh, that's nice. Let's fly you to get to the interview, and we can get on that later. Obviously, like the name badge editor wasn't $1 billion idea, but from that point, we knew that we were like we were good together. Like each one of us could
complement each other.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
1 + 1 = 3.
Exactly.
Right. So hold on. There's a lot of threads you opened up.
Sorry.
So no, I love it. So first of all, you went down and interviewed YC. Did you get in?
No, there's a funny story here.
So let's hear the story.
Let's hear the story. Yeah.
So we flew to so I think my English now is not that bad, but at one point it wasn't that good. And one thing PG says in his blog post is you got to know how to communicate in English, right? And I wasn't that good. But anyway, at that point in the interview was 4 people. It was Paul Bokait from Gmail, and the 2 others I don't remember. And then they said, okay, we brought our assistant that usually do the name badges for YC. Convince her. And she started, it's like, oh yeah, I use mail merge. And Mel's like, I don't know what mail merge is. In my head, I have no idea what mail merge is. So it's like, well, yeah, I can show you. And she's like, I don't want to show you. I just want you to convince me. It's like, well, I don't know. I froze, right? And the answer would have been like, well, I don't know, I was like 26. I don't know what mail merge is. So nobody's going to know what mail merge is, right?
Yeah, it's like
that would have been the real good answer. I did not say that, and they obviously said no.
Yeah.
But to their credit, like it wasn't $1 billion idea, like obviously.
Yeah.
But I think we had a pretty strong team that would have been able to pivot into something big. But
we'll get to what you pivot into because the team, because that's pretty big.
Yeah.
So, another question here. So you're in Eventbrite backend, getting a lot of exposure.
Yeah.
You got a nice tweet there that's exposing the homepage.
Yeah.
Did that pay off in traffic right away? And like, were you guys ready to scale up? Because I think, but this was what, 2010 you said?
2000, to 12.
Yeah, so like,
12,
I imagine you weren't on AWS yet. So like it.
No, I mean.
So so like, because going back then, the big problem was scaling with a lot of traffic.
No, that wasn't an issue. Yeah. Like, that wasn't an issue at all. Like, we could keep up with that. Like, we were in Heroku, so anyway, like, you just spend more and it's gonna scale.
But like, and did it lead to sustainable traffic? Like, was that partnership? I imagine.
Oh yeah,
the tweet was nice.
The reason it worked.
The partnership. Okay. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Distribution was everything.
Oh yeah. Without that, it would have taken probably years to grow. So, with that, it was instant. Like, we had conference in San Francisco using us.
Interesting.
Right. But at that point, it was a done product already. Pretty much like Conference Badge in 2013 is the same one as when we sold it like 2 years ago. It's the same product. And we were quite clear that we did not want to do more. We didn't want to do because I saw all of those event startup. They all raise a lot of money and they die because there's no money in the event space.
Yeah.
And they're all jealous of Conference Badge. It's like, hey, you guys are making money, and we do that app that we try to sell, and like nobody actually use it, and it's like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be in that space. And again, a bit like my game portal, I was proud of like having a name badge editor that had a customer base. It was not my North Star. I wasn't like, I'm not going to be the name badge guy, right? Yeah. So I want more. I wanted more.
But I also think you came from running events, which was a huge advantage because we run events.
Yeah.
And, we get pitched startups all the time. I'm like, well, that doesn't really add value.
Yeah.
And even if it does, it's not much. I'm going to pay you much.
Yeah, exactly.
So like, it sounds
and
like
I don't have money anyway.
yeah, right. So it sounds like you knew that.
Yeah.
But you ran the company till sounds like a decade. So was it like was this like ended up being another side hustle? Like what did you do knowing that this is not something you want to scale with?
When we realized that that was profitable, that was growing by itself, and that we could hire someone to manage it, we said, okay, we have what we need to level up to a harder problem. And without having to do YC, which in our mind we're not good enough for, and without having to raise, because I'm not really good at convincing people or pitching like crazy idea, right? So I knew that we could level up in a way that people don't. Now it's more in vogue, like the indie hacker scene or whatnot, like Level IO, those guys. But back in those days, it wasn't so much. And I knew we had something special that would bring enough revenue to sustain us and be able to work on something else that was more.
So you had a sustainable business, cash flow that could pay your cost of developing it. It's interesting. You said you didn't want to raise money. You didn't want to go YC. So was it simply, hey, I don't want to be waste time raising, or I'm not good at it? Like, because that's.
It was more about like I'm not good at it.
Okay, so you're saying I'm not good at it. I shouldn't waste my time.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But the guys, our philosophy now, not much with conference, but with Missive was like, hey, if someone really wants to invest in Missive, well, first they're going to pick the phone, they're going to call us, we're going to say no. If they really want to invest, they're going to fly to Quebec City. That never happened.
Not yet.
So it's like, maybe not yet, but that never happened. So for me, it's like nobody. So we had a lot of conversation, and I stopped having them because they're a bit wasteful nowadays. But big fun actually, like in the US, like and like the real partners, having conversation with them, and I don't think I have the profile to make them dream enough, right? I'm too focused on the short term. I don't know.
I'd put it a different way, and this will be my narrative here. I think you're very. No, but you sound very Canadian.
Yeah, exactly.
Because like the Americans will promise them, no matter what's true, next year I'll be 10x, and then I'll be 10x more, so we'll be 100x in 36 months.
My brain is not like that.
I think Canadian brain's not like it. Canadian's like, look what I've done.
So there's elaboration.
So the American founder is just, and I'm gonna get slammed for this when this gets released. The American founder oversells, the Canadian undersells and overdelivers. So I think that could be what I hear a bit of here.
Isn't that like a good approach though? Like you're not over-promising and under-delivering?
That's not when you're
raising. It depends if you raise.
Yeah.
But to me, we decide not to raise.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay.
So, and again, it's not a philosophical position. Like I'm really not against raising.
You're not like Jason Fried. Like
him. No. And another thing is like, well, if someone gives me $5 million, I need to know how I'll spend it, because you want me to spend it in 2 years.
Yeah.
Like right now, I have no clue. I will burn that 5 million in Google Ads. And I will burn it. I'm telling you, right? And so I don't have the skills to do it. The business has a lot of leaks in the bucket. Like this, to me, like I want to fix all of those things before, and maybe we're gonna get to that point. Yeah. Maybe we don't even have the need.
I think that's so the mindset we hear all the time though, is like you want to have something that's like pretty much there and perfect and conceptualized before it's like beyond. But we hear it so often.
It's negative.
Talk to founders. It's not. I don't think it's negative at all.
Yeah.
It's just an interesting. It's an interesting mindset. I think we hear it all the time.
I think it's always a question of speed versus long-term results, right? And I think you can take everything, perfecting something. I think what's interesting here is you have a product in the market, so you get feedback to make it better.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like when it gets bad is when like I'm not showing you my knowledge.
Oh no.
Right? Like,
we're not like
No. So like I think that's why I'm not skeptical of this, but it's like the opposite is like, oh, we're gonna just put a product out there and it's gonna work perfectly, right? Like
the classical engineers that leaves his job and then spend 3 years and then there's nothing at the end of it.
Yeah. So you have like done a great kind of segue into the next portion of your story. But one question that I have is just like going from being someone that like you found out how to code, you really loved it, you ended up building something, multiple things for like consumers, and it was successful. But what was probably the most important thing, like just building for other people, that you now would take with you into like just going forward, building for like consumers and customers and things like that?
Well, it's a bit of a cliche, but you really need to have conversation with customers. And that's something we did quite early. I'm in Toronto. Actually, I flew here to meet customers. So that's something like we actively do, like want to have those in-person conversations. So we booked a room, had a caterer, and like meet, like we were 25 people from different companies. And to like, it's really, really important to have those conversations. And I tell those people like, hey, don't come here just to give us flour. Like, because I know there's a lot of things you think like sucks, right? So just tell us about those things. So that's what's going to be worthwhile. Like, it's going to allow us to improve the product and or give you a solution and I feel like as an entrepreneur, or sometimes our mind gets locked into some ideas. And if we don't challenge ourselves with like those active customer conversation, we kind of get wrapped into our own mind and our own idea of what is perfection, and it's get detached from reality. But like, that's cliche, like that everybody gives that advice, but it's a good one.
Yeah. So maybe you've talked about Missive. I think, my guess is many people in Canada don't know what Missive is. So why don't we take a step back and explain what Missive is and give whatever overview you want so people listening have an idea.
Okay, so Missive is simply like a multiplayer email client, right? Think of an email client in which you're not alone, right? And there's a multitude of use cases, like customer support is the most evident one, or delegation. So basically, Missive, it's a mix between Slack and Gmail. So you can have your own email account and you could delegate it to an assistant that could help you triage, help you write the draft. Or you could be a SMB, like a realtor, and having your 5 people team in Missive, and then have 2 team inbox, and then your own account, and then kind of delegate email in between the different team members. So the easiest way to explain it is like Slack plus Gmail.
Slack and Gmail had a baby, basically.
It would be Missive.
And how big is it? Because I think before you mentioned you had how many customers?
We have now more than 4,000 businesses paying for it, and we just crossed $7 million US ARR.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
So now so you talked about how did you come up with the idea?
Again, back to the previous one, as we built Conference Badge, and as I did not want to be the name badge guy. We were kind of looking for the idea. And at one point, I think it's Etienne, one of my co-founders, it's like, Phil, every time you send emails, it's so full of typos. Like, wouldn't it be nice if we could like have a Google Doc, but for draft? Like, that was the initial idea. It wasn't like about an email client. It was just, let's build it. And even initially, we thought like maybe build a text area, collaborative text area for the web, right? You could plug in anything. But then eventually we really enjoyed, we were big on not Slack, but IpChat. And before IpChat, Kickoff.
I don't remember Kickoff.
Kickoff was bought by Stripe just because the design was so amazing. And so we really enjoyed those chat app, and it's like, it looks so fun to build. Like you want to dog food yourself, and that was the best dog food product we could work on. And because we could like fund ourselves for a long time, we knew it would be possible to build something polished. And so pretty much came from the fact that I do a lot of typos.
I was just gonna say, like, did it stem from just like an annoyance of like, just experience wise, like there has to be like an easier way, which you're saying, like there was typos, and it sounds like it adds like an ability to collaborate as well. Cause I know like from looking at Missive too, there's like a great element to like remote teams being able to collaborate as well. How was like the initial growth like of the product and kind of introducing it? Like what was the experience? Yeah.
It was hard. Because at first it was just emails
it's a little
chat.
New, yeah.
Basically, you could chat on their email with your team. And so no assignment. So there was no way to prioritize work or to assign work to other people. And we were even against that at first. Like we want to do a simple product. And eventually when we add assignment in, so the ability to say like that conversation, you take care of it. That unlocked growth for us. But again, given we're bootstrapped, was always linear growth. It's not like we've been doing Missive for 9 years now.
Yeah.
So it now it's starting. I mean, obviously you go to other stage, but initially it was extremely linear. And my brother was a developer. I always tried to hire him, and he was like, it's too small. I said, I don't know. And he worked for a US job, so he's paid a lot. And I remember, like, for 2 years, everyone was like, hey, what's your MR? I'm like, not a lot, right? Not a lot, but I really believe in this. It's like, okay, like, keep it up. And then eventually things compound.
Interesting. Let's maybe talk about go-to-market and distribution, because it sounds like with Conference Badge,
it was
lucky.
Baked in,
right? Yeah. API call.
Yeah.
So here you have to build this muscle and build awareness.
Yeah.
How do you find, and you're solving your own problems. So how do you even go about building the go-to-market muscle here, finding your customers?
A bit naively, like initially, like product on Hacker News, replying to people on Twitter, which really worked. We worked out quite well. And then building the biggest win for Missive was building versus page.
Okay. So you versus front versus Slack.
Shortwave. In the last 10 years, there's probably were like 20 email client startup that failed, but every time they were launching, we would be the first with a versus page.
Interesting.
And not just like, those versus page, they are either like just a checklist and it's the same for all competitors. It's like Google never is going to rank that. And for us, it was always like content, screenshot, and trying to be fair. And obviously you like your product better, but trying to be fair, right? And with front, it really took off, and we were for years like second ranking. Like even for front, Missive would be the second.
Interesting. So if someone would search front, you'd be number 2 right underneath them.
Yeah.
So it sounds like a Zapier type story here, where it's all about SEO and being found. Right?
Yeah, but Zapier, those guys are the champions. Like in our case, it's only one page.
But still, it's but that's a strategy, right? So and it sounds like you're also taking advantage of social media, but and who's sort of led that efforts over time? Has that been founder led, and what looks different today than it was 5-7 years ago?
Well, it was all in-house before. It's just pretty much me. The two other guys were focused on code or customer support. And nowadays, now we're 14 people. So we just hired Eva, and she's in Toronto at marketing. So we had a marketing person for the last not even a year. So for last November.
Okay.
So she's now doing a lot of the things that we should have done probably 2-3 years prior, like case study, video case study.
Okay.
Learn what's my ICP? I had no idea. Those things are to me they're so boring. But now that we've done that, I see how important and the value and whatnot. But,
and then flip side, so you've got distribution. We can talk maybe about the other side, the extreme side. It's weird, in my mind, it's product. So how have you decided what to prioritize?
Just
and how
product. It was always product.
It's always product first.
Yeah.
Okay. And so
because we had that
craft.
That craft, but also no time constraint, because we were kind of fun forever with Conference Badge. So there's no pressure to sign that next customer. My pressure was that we would still be able to compete with those massively funded startup like Front.
Yeah,
that was if we're able to offer a better product than Front, we can always grow later. But if at some point we can't catch up, or they become better than us, we're not going to be able to catch up, right? So in my mind, it was always better to invest more in the product, especially because our competitor was so big.
I was just gonna say, on that note of how are you competing, aside from obviously now it's all about
a lot.
strategy.
They are obviously way bigger than us. I don't know. We're at 7 million. I guess they make 100 million a year.
Yeah, but I guess I'd refine as
but we win a lot of
head face-offs.
We win all the time when it's a face-off.
Interesting.
When they're existing Front customer and they want to migrate to us, we probably win 80% of the time. The next 20, they're too big in Front, do a crazy discount. And the friction of moving out when you're a bigger team is just too high. So people so they're stuck once they're there for a while. But how do mine was more competing. You said you have to have that
product. So they have all this money. They can throw all these engineers at it.
Yeah.
So is it better prioritization? Is it better, creative, like, and better developers? Like, what do you think?
The fact that we're a small team helped us for a long time to keep a cohesive product. Is something that makes sense, that didn't
Become
like a monster and whatnot.
Too much, yeah.
Yeah, too much. Like being small is part of our identity. Like like right now we're 14. I'm like, I always tell the team, like, we're not gonna be more than 20. I believe we can get to 100 million ARR with just 20 people. So I'm like,
wow.
like we all better gotta be good, because that's it. That's 20. I'm not, because more than 20, I'm not the one that can manage that.
Yeah.
And I want to do that business. So
it's interesting then, like, how do you set the cultures? Do you have rules like in the
I
product?
was just gonna say, yeah.
Like, is there like
What's
product
the
rules or
strategy?
culture? Like, how do you? Because that's very. I love that ambition.
That's new, right? That we're a bigger team. That we was just the three of us.
You say bigger, like 14, as if it's like this, like huge. It's still a very lean team. Yes, of course, yeah.
But do we have rules? I mean, it's all something that we're shaping up as we are right now. So it's hard for me to say if we have rules, but that 20 people limit, it has been communicated. Everybody knows about it, and like this year, because we're bootstrapped, there's no equity for employees.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard. I mean, you talk to anyone, it's hard to give equity when there's no valuation or time horizon. And so, but this year is like, I do want to share the outcomes. So we came up with a bonus program that can only be possible because we're small, because the bonus program is, if we hit those targets, it's 50% salary bonus.
Wow.
But we already pay good, like, top Toronto salary. So it's quite a big bonus. So if that makes the people
motivated
to be part of a small team.
And is a team mostly in Quebec City, or is it distributed now?
It's half in Quebec, like support plus us, but the rest is distributed, like Montreal, Toronto, Alberta, and then Europe.
I'd imagine, like, keeping a very lean team too, there's probably lots of like promise for growth for people too, which I find like is motivation in itself as well.
The issue, I think, is you need to find people that want to do the things. There's a lot of people that want to grow in a position where they don't do anything.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of room to grow, but keep in mind there's that 20 people limit. Like, you won't manage someone. It's like, you're going to do it, right?
So how do you hire? Like, it's just such a small team, and it sounds like everyone just really, it's like their lane and they stay within it. But I'd imagine there's probably a ton of support that needs to help across the board. So, like, what are the qualities you really look for in hiring like a great
agency, like someone that's going to solve his own problems, not just like there's people that can know that there's a problem. Not everybody are able to identify problems. There's people that can propose a solution, and there's actually people that can also ship the solution. Ideally, it would only be like that later category, which is really hard. And we're learning. I mean, we did some mistake when hiring, and
that's natural, right?
It's a work in progress.
And how do you attract people? Because you're based in Quebec City, you're bootstrapped.
Yeah.
And what I find with a lot of employees, even high agency ones, they like to be sold that sexy story, right? Hey, look, we just got Sequoia just came in at 100 million valuation. We're obviously going to the moon, right?
The external funding is
and like it's used as a badge. I find employees lots of time, like to me, I'm like, you'd rather be before Sequoia gets there or before it's smaller. So like, and it's also Quebec City, so it's not like you're like, you can be at events in Toronto, but like, so you have these two things. So how do you build awareness or find these people?
So the people I hired in Quebec pretty much all heard me on a podcast where I was extremely transparent about our struggle when we were just three. And then we kind of all grew ourselves. I was really transparent because I just fired two, like I hired and it didn't work out. And I had like a conversation in a podcast called SaaS Pause, which is like a big Quebec SaaS podcast. And I was really transparent about this struggle, and that resonated with a lot of people. And I was transparent about the numbers, so people could also project themselves. Oh, that'll be fun to work, and like they have problems scaling. But their number works, their product works, which is pretty rare, like in startup land. Most things don't work. And for Europe people, we had a lot of success with just having blunt job posts, like meaningless culture, like we don't do that, we don't do that. And people, like, usually those points, they're like, oh, like I was attracted by that because I never read that in a job post, right? But given we're just 14, we don't need to hire 1,000, so we don't have to be so sexy.
Yeah, but it's interesting. So, like, because you mentioned you had made mistakes earlier, but you said, okay, hey, the first time we expanded, we made a mistake, I guess, in the first 2 people, and also you mentioned you don't want to get more than 20 people, and because you don't think you'd be there. So, like, what do you think from the long term is you don't have, because it's interesting because you don't have to scale yourself in one part of your and like, so what do you think the advantages of focus on 20 people? And what do you think the disadvantages of constraining, sort of, because you have a bold ambition, 100 million, 20 people, that's 5 million revenue per employee, which is great. But you've the artificial constraints. How does that, why do you want to do that? How does it help? How does it, hurt?
Earlier we said, like, oh, it's for Canadian funders, it's hard to be ambitious. I guess that's the figure I'm willing to, take a bet on. I think with the technology and the changing landscape and the fact that we were able to do with just 3 people, we kind of have an advantage of having already been through doing a lot with less. I think that put us in a position where we will be able to do it. And especially the fact that we were small forced us to do customer support. And being forced to do customer support force us to fix problems.
Interesting.
Because else your life is just pain and misery. Like when your customer emails you days and days out about something that sucks in your product, and you're the one emailing, you're the one explaining the solution again and again, you're like, I need
to solve this problem. I'm sick of this email.
Okay, like it takes 5 days and we ship a solution. And I guess small teams have that advantage, being close to their customers. And there is a strategy where the more you fix those problems, and if you constrain yourself in the scope of your product, you're like, if you raise 100 million, you want to do everything.
Yeah.
And like the scale of problems, like the problems, maybe you fix them vertically, but they grow horizontally, and it's just like a mess. If we keep small team, the product scale stays the same, and we just improve it again and again, I think, like, because we receive maybe, like, every Monday, there's around 30 emails in our team inbox, support team inbox. That has been the same for the last 3-4 years. So it grows a bit every year. But we scale the customer base. The support is not scaling at the same rate.
Because you're getting
actually, we scale the support when we scale onboarding. So the more marketing success we have, we need to scale support. But we don't need to scale support for past customers because they know how to use the platform.
Yeah. What does customer onboarding look like? Just out of curiosity.
Don't ask my employees. I'm like, that sucks. There was none. I mean, my team is working to improve that, but it was a mess. It's like, hey, like, that's it. Start.
Here's a link.
So how are you trying to do? How do your employees want you to deal with it? Is it a bunch of onboarding videos? Is it like a tutorial? Is it?
I guess pretty standard, like documentation.
Yeah.
Like we start using Notion to document some processes and basic things, and we're SOC 2 compliant, so that also enable us to have, like, it's fun to be SOC 2 when you're just 4. It's so easy to implement.
Totally.
Right?
There's no data leaks. There's only 4 employees.
Not just that, but because there's no process in place, you just map your process to SOC 2. Oh, when I onboard someone, I'm going to start a conversation here, going to do that checklist. That's it. Right?
Interesting.
And so people ask me, I think Simon from WorkClick that you host, asked me, like, I mean, how long it did take you to go SOC 2? I don't know, like 4 months. And we're really SOC. Like, we respect every criterion. Like, it's really like, we didn't.
You build your process around SOC 2 versus having.
Because we're small, it was 10 times easier than for him. Because for him, like, it's, I don't know, 300 employees and multiple teams, all different process, hosting everywhere.
Do you find it takes, like, and I'll try and say this, like, correctly, but, like, it takes some of the anxiety and, like, the pressure off of it when you're like, we're a small team, like, we're iterating so quickly, we're like the startup mentality, right? It's like almost expected that you're going to be like, things won't happen necessarily right away, and there's going to be like iteration that happens
there's
at a
something
different
of that.
phase.
Yeah.
Find that interesting, like thought around like a smaller team as well too, it would make sense.
But the more employees I have, the more ambitious I'm starting to be, because the more I can actually spend brain cycle on growth. Before I was just surviving. And now I'm thinking about growth. I'm thinking about the next step. So maybe in 2 years we're gonna be
I was
gonna
say, do you ever think there'd be like you will get past the 20 mark?
I don't know.
You'll get bigger.
I don't know.
So I'll ask you if you have time to think about this. Like, what is again? And let me correct. I didn't say Canadians aren't ambitious. I think we don't sell our ambition.
Yeah.
So what is you got this 100 million goal, and then like what's your measure? What's your view of success? I guess. That's
going to be a philosophical one, because I personally went through pretty hard time during COVID, and it's funny. It started the day we hit 100,000 MRR on Stripe. Literally that day, I become to feel like physical pain.
Okay.
Because I've hit the target I had in my life. My life target was like, well, have a big family. I have 4 kids. That's going well.
We should talk about that.
My other target was like get to 100K. And because we're not VC back, like, that figure was like so huge for me. And then I reached it. And then the next day my wife was like, hey, congrats. And then I was like, oh, that's it. It's still the same support email.
What didn't change?
The same launch to do, right? So it's like, okay, so what's next, right? So going back to the question, why? I think it's just because I'm a driven person that likes to work on problems and that don't like to sit idle. I know I don't want to be on a beach. Maybe 2 weeks. Like literally with my wife, I'm like, if I ever sell the business and we're rich as fuck, right? I'll be like, hey, babes, we're going to cross the world with our bicycle, or we're going to like, I don't see myself doing nothing or not out of the ordinary stuff. Like I'm like, I wanted a big family because I didn't want to just have 2. Like everybody has just 2 kids, right? I want to have like at least
2 kids.
4.
I started a bit later, I think. That's the.
It's like I want 4. My wife is a bit like that.
I'm one of 5, so also once you have one of 5, 2 is enough.
I'm also one of 2. I have a brother, so it's like the 2 kids family dynamic thing.
Look, for a second. How old are the kids? What age range?
4 to 12 now.
Wow, quite a range. Yeah.
You might need a staff of 20 just for your house.
Yeah. Can you imagine we recently hired someone to clean up the house? Like just like a year ago, it's like nobody.
Please tell me they're not all playing hockey.
One was playing hockey, but now he's better at football.
Okay.
And now he's playing I don't know in English, but a school where you do after day, like you sport after. Like
Cool.
Got it. Yeah.
Everybody told me like there's going to be a lot of time invested in that, but it's good and he likes it. So
because like I think in Canada, one disadvantage we have with lots of kids is when they get into hockey, there's no like it's work and hockey and nothing else.
Yeah, so he played hockey until 8 in a private hockey school. And the parents, they were crazy.
Yeah.
Like they were doing like 2 leagues, private tournaments. And I was like, I don't have time anyway.
I can attest to that. I play now just for fun, but when I was growing up, it was like my poor parents were like always in a rink and tournaments. Oh yeah, my dad worked like crazy hours during the week, and then weekend it was like you're away in tournaments.
But they're fun for parents.
School tournaments. It was just that was like life, but you just make the commitment because your kids want to do it.
Yeah.
But
so kids are surprising. This is a weird segue. What's the most shocking use you've seen ever of Missive? Like, is there a customer or use case that surprised you, or is it
I mean, we have all type. The problem with Missive is like there's no niche. Like whether it's the industries or whether it's the use case, it's all around.
Mm-hmm.
I have a $1 billion CEO using it with his 5 assistant. I have startups with 200 people doing just customer support in Missive. I have SMBs in all types of industries. The most crazy use case now, I don't know, not one that. There's a team of 250 accountants in Norway. Like, can you imagine 250 accountants? Like, the practices here are smaller. No, I don't know.
I imagine like KPMG is bigger, but that sounds like a pretty big.
Yeah,
practice.
but just Norway.
That's funny. What a great way to learn though about like the kinds of customers you can be attracting. That's very cool.
But that's interesting because you go back to making the product the best, right?
Yeah.
And like, I guess there could be different ways of using it. So how do you figure out which problems to solve and prioritize? Because again, you're not a massive team.
Because we dog fooded, we never did something we didn't want ourselves.
Okay.
Well, maybe some of the times, and that usually we regret those. So
Yeah. So if you don't believe it's needed as a team, it's okay.
Yeah.
Because then you're getting too far from the core.
Yeah.
Interesting. And then
if that sometimes doesn't serve us, and that's why I go meet people in person, because for us, there's no need for like advanced crazy search. So the search is pretty basic.
Yeah.
But when you talk with people, like every day I need to find that invoice with that special, like you're like, I can understand how painful it is right now, right? So now it's a mix of those conversations because we now have a customer, right? But at first there's none. And also our personal feelings.
And I got to ask, just because of the time, because you brought up search, the world of LLMs, the world of AI.
Yeah.
It's supposedly going to change everything.
Yeah.
I use Superhuman to have AI in it.
Yeah.
You can debate how good that is.
Yeah.
So what pressure, how do you think AI changes the workflows of the product?
The AI is so cool because, I mean, in San Francisco and Silicon Valley, like it literally takes 2 days to integrate AI in a product.
Yeah.
Right? Literally, it's just like it's the most basic API you can find. You pass a string, you get a string. That's it. And so Missive, we were one of the first to implement AI in an email client that helped us for like a lot of SEO, like email client with AI. But our approach is a bit different than, let's say, Superhuman. I think Superhuman kind of took over the AI aspect. It's Superhuman AI, right?
Yeah.
In our case, we want to be multi-provider compatible. I want you to pick whatever model you prefer. And I want you to control 100% of the prompts.
Interesting.
So I don't want to be the prompt provider. We're going to provide some templates, but you control the prompt and you adapt it to your own business case. People think like our customer, like, I want to train my own model. I'm like, that's not possible. Like, you have like $200 million. I don't even know how much it costs, but you want to control the prompts. And like right now, the speed at which it evolves, the context window is so large and it's so cheap that literally it cannot be seen as a moat for any product because it can all be duplicated in a few weeks of work. And for us, it's just like basically support all models, try to have clever UI around that. Right now, it's not perfect, can be 10 times better, but iterate around that. So it's more about iterating and improving around the UI than
do you think
pretending that we have Missive AI.
And do you think there's ever a time where you have to give like Missive, one of the Missive users is an AI agent? I know this is talking hypothetically, but like, you said you customer support, right?
Yeah.
So everyone's like, oh, we're using AI. So,
but right now you can create rules that automatically curate draft for all of your emails. So you could arrive in the morning and have all of the drafts, and then you just confirm. We don't have like send automatically because I don't trust
that's
it.
risky.
People will hang themselves with that, and they're gonna be pissed at us.
Yeah, there's an element of needing to like
email is core, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
And you want to make sure it's going to the right people, and it could be confidential.
And yes, eventually it's going to be like, hey, can you? I think something that would have a lot of value for our customer is visibility. So, manager could go and say, hey, team inbox support, what type of email have you received, or give me the 10 most angry emails we received in the last month. That's probably what we want to do. And again, with the context window, it's not something that's going to be hard. It's pretty much fetch the last email, append them to a string, give the string to Google, OpenAI with the right prompt, get the results, show it. So
interesting.
Everybody that sells it, it's like the startups say, oh my God, like we're doing AI. No, it's like OpenAI is doing AI. We're just wrapping it.
Yeah. Taking a step back up. So you've been now running Missive, how long is it? Roughly a decade?
Yeah, I think,
So what do you think are the biggest lessons you've taken away and, you'd want to share with, if you were back in your shoes 10 years ago,
I'll trust myself more. If I would travel back, I'll be more aggressive. I'll trust myself more. I'll be less hesitant. That journey was about building confidence, I believe. Like for the last, like sitting here, I wasn't that stressed. But like 5 years ago, I would have been stressed as crazy just before. It's just one example, but confident in my coding skills. Even my co-founders, like we don't come from like Waterloo University, so we're not like teach that we're the best. Like we just learn by ourselves. So, but at one point we realized like when we onboard our first developer, like it took them 6 months to be like efficient, and the code base is so big, and not that it's like complex or bad, it's just so big. And I was like, okay, well, we're actually pretty good developers, I think, like in the end, right? But before, you don't have that knowledge about yourself, because, and that goes back to the fact that we're from Quebec City. There's not a big ecosystem. You don't, like, the tribe of startup founders is not that big. And like, there's Montreal, there's Quebec City. That's really small, right?
So did you ever have a mentor?
No, and I was not so big on mentors.
Okay.
Self-taught in every way.
Yeah.
So okay.
But I guess it's probably because to get a real mentors, you need to have sparks, I believe. And I never had those sparks with people that I met. So if I met at someone that like would have been like, I would have been like, oh my God, like that guy can bring me so much. Why not? I'm still open for that. But
So by going back, so one lesson is being more confident. Is there any other lessons or takeaways you'd have?
I'd even add to like just the bootstrapping experience, because I know there's a ton of founders that are curious of like, you know, venture backed versus bootstrapping experience too. If I could throw that out there.
Yeah, I think leveling up is something in my pedigree, I would say. Always going from a smaller idea to a more ambitious one. You can see that pattern every time, and it would not have been possible to do Missive first. So I don't know if that's a lesson for people, but maybe start with smaller niche
Just
things
get into
and then
it.
scale up, like learn, and then go with something more ambitious. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
So my next startup, I don't know, it's going to...
Yeah. Once you get to 100 million, you get the offer you can't refuse.
If I get...
Then you take your bike ride for 3 months, and then
you
needed something to do. Yeah.
Would you be okay building a team bigger than 20?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe is there any subjects we haven't covered you want to cover?
No, I think we hit on everything. Just thank you. This is just super authentic, and every journey is so different. But at the same time, there's so many actionable like takeaways for people. It's a lot of aspiring founders that listen. So it's really helpful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for the time.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Alex and Alex.
Yeah.